Interesting. Many would wonder what is the MOSPMO doing on the Green Ribbon Champions. The reason is that the department that comes under him holds the core for technology or developing the technology that will back the search for clean energy and green energy and also sustainable options. So you talked about the fact that the green hydrogen bus, we had the Indian Oil chairperson also here at this point. They have promised the rollout of at least 15 buses very soon between Faridabad and Delhi. But you said that the research is happening in Pune, and he had made a mention of it. How much of effort is going to be there from us, when I say us as a nation, towards research and development? What's been the biggest shift and how much?
I think the two parts, I'll just like to address it in two phases. A, that once we have a stake, then the interest develops. Like, for example, bioeconomy now we are talking about. The bioeconomy is going to be a hugely lucrative source of livelihood as well in the times to come. And a huge sector of economy. We had just about, in 2014, India's bioeconomy stood at about just about 10 billion US dollars. Today it is 80 billion. In just 8-9 years, it's gone 8 times. And we look forward to having $150 billion by 2025. So all these resources which had not yet been explored, because you have startups, but how do you sustain them? Because that startup, after all, is also the son or a daughter of the same society. So if he has to sustain, he has to be driving the same car which his peer is driving, even if he's not a startup. So otherwise he says, what the hell am I doing over here? So you have to give him the same kind of comfort level in the terms of living, in the terms of his lifestyle. So when they find that here is a stake associated, then the interest generates, the aptitude for innovation also comes, and the whole thing, as I said, the second part is the overall, it all is also gets optimum encouragement if the ecosystem is healthy. And when I talk of ecosystem as a whole, I would also mention a component which may not be part of per se this discussion is the new education policy, which we thought of National Education Policy 2020. And when you ask what will be the role of science, actually just as we were curtailing our resources, our inputs, our supplementation of both knowledge and funds by, living in a veil of secrecy in the space sector, similarly also our education system was producing innovators by default.
Right.
See, for example, in simple terms, we were making our youth, our citizens, prisoners of the aspiration. Your parents want you to be a doctor, so you haven't yet exercised your mind on that. So you take up those subjects, bio, etc. Then after class 12, you don't get it. So what do? You do BSc in the same subject. Then what do? You appear in civil service. If you make it good, if you don't, then what? Then you go in for MSc, same subject. Then after that, what? Then you look for some teaching job in a college, university, because the UGC also pays you well. As I said, you are children of the same society. You can't be different just because you are a startup. So you don't become holier than thou suddenly overnight. Then after MSc, that also you don't. Then what do? Then you do PhD. Then after that, what do? You come to me, become a scientist. See what a paradoxical thing was happening. It was by default. Now we don't have that. I think one of the greatest revolution that has been brought in by Prime Minister Modi is the National Education Policy 2020. And it's going to have a bearing on every sector of our lives, even our mental well-being. As I said, they will not have citizens or youth who will be living all their life as prisoners of the aspiration which was cultivated by their parents, not even their aspiration. So now we have, after class 12, if you are not able to choose or to get into the stream that you wish to, you can change your subject. You combine economics with medical, biology, like that. And you can, then in the course of time, as the youth grows, he or she also begins to realize his inner aptitudes. Like many of us go to Bombay in the hope that I'm very good looking, I'll become a hero or heroine. There I realize, no, it's not so. I have to end up as a script writer at all. Or if not, some clapper boy. So that exposure and growth as the child grows or the youth grows helps her or him to develop that aptitude or no aptitude. Because earlier on, he is victim of what his parents had planned. The parents are usually the first corrupting experience after class 10.
Correct.
So I think that whole ecosystem has now changed, as a result of which we will be getting real innovators who will be innovators by aptitude, also by their commitment. And that is going to add value to it, because entire growth hereafter across the world is going to be technology driven.
No, but how much of a lag is it from research to innovation to scale? So that's the lag.
Yes.
That's where, because
Yeah.
you said, let's take the case of solar panels. You said 1977, we had developed the first solar panel. 18 to 20 years ago, a small village beyond Giridih in Jharkhand became totally solar powered because there was no electricity there. But even today, Delhi NCR is not powered by solar panels.
No, I agree with you, and I think the answer to that is precisely what I was saying in the response to the earlier question, because we didn't have that kind of an ecosystem and an integrated approach. That's why I say we have to have a very healthy synergy of academia, research, startups, industry, and industry right from the beginning. They have to be stakeholders right from the beginning. So, for example, if I am into solar innovation, I have to, even if it requires industry to do its mapping, what kind of solar panels do they require? What kind of solar parks do they require or not? And then we move ahead as a team. Not that I do something,
Right.
and then as I agree with you, from 1977 till now, we are no takers.
Correct.
Because the others who could use it, or even the industry or the other stakeholders, were not sensitized enough. That is why National Research Foundation will take care of that. I think it's an opportunity for me to share with you, this learned audience, that in the National Research Foundation will also act as a think tank. It has the mandate of even deciding the themes on which the projects have to be undertaken and funded, depending on the requirement of the futuristic visions, projections. B, also in the terms of international collaborations. So far what was happening is that many of the collaborations happen for diplomatic reasons, not strictly for scientific reasons.
Correct.
So we sign an MOU and we have hundreds of MOUs. So this body will also decide and work upon what kind of collaboration with which country, which help us or help mutually. So we'll have a more scientific approach, so that I agree with you, the innovation doesn't get lost in the passage of time. And when it doesn't pick up, then it doesn't move on. So same is what happened with the solar. It was
Right.
it came to be known in 77, but it got lost till it was
never
rediscovered, because then we found the constraints of having the other sources of energy not being very healthy with a compatible lifestyle. So we have to have a unified and integrated approach, and rather I would say extended, even for, I was suggesting even to a group of medicos that day, now is the term when we have to integrate the engineering and medical. I've done a very successful experiment, Doctor on Wheels, the telemedicine, in some of the remotest villages in my constituency, and this become a lucrative health startup career. Well, for 60 villages, we had to pay about 50, 70 lakh. Of course, I didn't charge my constituents. It was done out of philanthropy. But the entire exercise was conducted by non-medicos. 3 youngsters, good in IT. They would do the entire screening of the patient. They had tied up with a hospital in Ahmedabad, one in Bengaluru, and then get engaged and provide the prescription. So it's a now extended integration. It's not only... In fact, Aditya, if you recall, I mean, we were connected that day. When I was asked to make the official announcement of Aditya having been successfully launched, my first sentence was, the mission, the launching is by ISRO, but the mission is the whole of science. Because so much of contribution has happened from everywhere, and now also from industry.
That's going to be my last question. We've just got about 1 minute on the clock. There are 2 parts to it. How much of this green growth, this push for net zero by 2070, or let's say even by 2050, if there is very aggressive, is dependent on political stability and the political continuum, first part. And the second part is the private corporate India partnership and participation, both factors.
Yeah, to take up the second one first, because that's easier. The point is that we are already into it, and a fanciful term has been called green financing. Not that the notes will be put in will be green colored. The financing will be also neat and clean. So green financing with a larger industrial involvement, and industry involvement right from the beginning, because it's my considered view. I firm believe you cannot move beyond certain point. Like we had stagnated ourselves in the space sector, and suddenly there's a quantum jump. So it will be heavy involvement of industry, and the National Research Foundation Anusandhan will also address that issue. And B, of course, stability is there. It's because of Prime Minister Modi, he's successfully given us a stable political dispensation. The world is looking up to us. And this stability is going to continue. And the evidence of that is that the officers and the other countries continue to relate to us with the same vigor, even in the last few months of the term. Which means they're so confident of this stability being there in place.
Thank you, Dr. Jitendra Singh. We'll take this question further, where we wanted to say that beyond political ideologies, is the growth story, the thought continuum going to be appreciated? Is it going to be bipartisan?
I think just to add to that with your permission, is that there is no option now left. If we have to grow, we have to go collectively, whether we like it or not. Right. I mean, it's just like a bus breaks down, and everybody has to push it hard. The driver says, push it. No, I may not like your face, but I ask you, bhai sahab, thoda sa dhakka laga do. So, our entire growth now is going to be collective.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jitendra Singh, thank you so much, sir.